I told people this on Twitter last year, but I think something important for people to know about my own story is 2020 was the first year that I made more money than I used to make in my corporate job. I left my corporate job at 24. Yeah. So it wasn't until I was 33 years old that I surpassed what I was doing back then. Because so many people thought, you're a rap. People think if you're a rapper, you're just making money, like just because magic, right? Yeah. And people don't understand the grind that goes into it. So I even had people who thought that I went into this for explicitly, you just want to make more money. I was like, dude, if I want to just make money and be comfortable, I've got a degree from Oxford. I would have just stayed on that corporate path and, you know what I mean? Just stayed there. It would have been comfortable. But people miss all that. And then, so it's interesting. There's a lot of parallels with that story. So coming back to you starting this gym in California, what made you actually want to do that? And why in California? Because that's if you're in Baltimore, seems a little, I know you're into fitness.
As far away from home as possible.
Yeah, that's very far to just go over and start a gym.
Yeah. So there's two reasons. One was I wanted to get as far away from home as I could.
Okay.
And it sounds more dramatic than it was. It was, I just wanted space. You know what I mean? I didn't want to be in a day's drive away. Like I wanted to be in my own area. Because I think the thing that I felt very constrained. I felt like I was trying to meet the expectations of other people. And so I just wanted to go to a place where as little of that physically could affect me emotionally.
Yeah.
The other reason was I was between South Beach and California because they were the two fitness capitals, in my opinion, of the world at that point, or at least in the US. And so my thought process was, if I can win there, then I can win anywhere.
Okay.
And so I want to go where it's most competitive so that I can learn the best, most cutting edge stuff and then win there. And then I can kind of expand nationally. At least that was my thought going into it. But that was the main reason. And to a point you said earlier, I think people would be willing to do the grind, but they can't deal with the uncertainty. Mm. Because the thing is like, if you say, hey, hold your breath, and and the person starts holding their breath, it's easy to do that if you know the person's going to say you can breathe again in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
But if you just sit there and you're like just staring at them, like I feel like that's a lot of what the entrepreneurship thing is. It's like you save up some money and then you take the dive and you hold your breath and you're like, how long am I going to have to hold my breath? And the answer is you just don't know.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the answer. I think that's the thing that most people are afraid of. And for me, that was my big fear because I just didn't know how long it was going to take. I knew I wouldn't stop, but I didn't know how long it was going to take.
Yeah. I love that analogy. I think another core part of it for someone like yourself or someone like myself is we had taken the more normal option to begin with. So it's almost like you're doing that. And there's also a rope that you can grab onto. So for some people, it truly is sink or swim, right? There's people who, they've got no family whatsoever. They're going to fall flat on their face and, be on the street if they don't make it. If it's like, oh, you've got a university degree, you worked in the corporate world before, it's like, man, I know I can just grab this thing and live a quote unquote normal life and be comfortable, but you're still there holding your breath, with this delusional level of self-belief, knowing I know somehow, some way this is going to work out. I don't know how long it's going to take. It could be 5, 7, 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
And also people don't understand it, right? People are there like, why are you holding your breath? Like, why don't you just be a normal person and do what normal people do? Why are you why are you sleeping in the gym?
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? Right. With me, I'd be just all over the place. Just, when I left my job, I got a Volkswagen Transporter van. And I wrapped it in purple with the Zuby logo on the side. Yeah. I still got it. It's called the Zuby tank. And I would just go on road trips up and down the country, just fill it up with CDs and just travel around. Yeah. And of course, to keep costs down, I mean, I didn't normally sleep in my van. I did a couple times, but I just stay in like the cheapest hotel possible. Yeah, I'm going to Manchester for a week. I'm just going to stay in the cheapest, crappiest hotel. Or if I've got friends there, cool, I'll stay on their sofa, I'll stay on their floor, whatever. Because if I go, I'm not making that much money. I'm making, on a good day, maybe 100 to 200 pounds.
Yeah.
And then if I go and I get a 100-pound hotel, it's like, well, what's the point? Yeah, I'm not making any profit at all. Yeah. So there's a lot of discomfort. And then with the musician grind, you add to that the gigging as well. So traveling around and doing shows. And again, people are like, oh, wow, you're on tour. That's awesome. I'm like, maybe it's awesome at like the top level.
Yeah, right.
Where you don't need to organize anything yourself and you just show up, collect a giant bag of money and perform a couple songs, which everyone already knows the words to and you don't actually need to rap. But like if you're a lower level independent artist, like touring is a grind.
Yeah,
It's not fun.
And you have to bring your A game.
You've got to bring your A game, even if there's 10 people in the crowd.
Totally.
You can go there, you're looking at the crowd, half the audience is the staff. Right? The sound
right,
man, the people working at the bar, the security guys, whatever. And you've got like 5, 6 like hardcore fans who have been following you on MySpace or on YouTube or whatever. And those ones you don't even break even. And this is all the stuff that I like talking about it because I wish more entrepreneurs and more creative people did. I think so many interviews and so many conversations, it starts with the here and now. It's like, oh, cool. I'm here. I'm already a millionaire. Yeah. And this is all my stuff now. And it's like, well, wait, how did you... I'm more curious how someone made the first million than how they made the next however many. Because that first one, the zero to one,
hardest one.
That's the hardest. And that's where I think most of the life lessons are. So with that said, let's continue on this journey from you setting up this gym in California and sleeping in it, having the trains going over your head.
Yeah.
What was the first success?
So I was fortunate, very fortunate. And so I want to let the record show I am just a lucky person. And everything I have is from genetics and picking the right parents. That way, nothing I have is my own. But when I moved out there, I had... So I'll back up because I think this might be helpful for some people. So when I decided to go to California, I had emailed, I think 40 or so gym owners that looked like they were doing okay online. No one got back to me except for this one guy. His name was Seven Figure Sam. That was what his thing was. And so he was good at like helping gyms be more profitable. And so I got on the phone with him and I told him that I was going to be there. And he was like, all right, whatever. I mean, you're in Baltimore. And so I just drove for 36 hours and then I showed up on his doorstep and he was like, are you serious? And I was like, yeah, what's up? Well, let me learn. And he was like, I have things to do. Like you can he's like, where are you staying? I was like, I don't know yet. He was like, Jesus. He's like, you can stay at my place tonight. And so it was really nice of him to do that. And then the next day he said, you could be my apprentice. He said, I get to the gym at 4, so be here at 4. And and he works till 4. So he would work 12 hours. You do 4 to 4. He's like, all these people think they can't have a family because he had kids and a wife. And he's like, they just aren't willing to wake up early. He's like, I get home at 4 and I spend the rest of I was like, that's interesting. And so I was able to learn the ropes relatively quick. I only did it for 3 or 4 weeks, just kind of like shadowing him around, understanding the business a little bit. And then I found a spot and he connected me with somebody in his group of gym owners, said, you guys should partner on this thing. And so we were going to split a location together because I had, some savings. He had some savings. We were going to do it, which by the way, terrible way to do a business partnership. You guys have the exact same skill set and might as well just split the money anyways. So needless to say, the night before we were supposed to sign the lease, the other guy backed out. And so all of a sudden I had to stomach the whole thing and all the money and all the upfront costs, which ended up being one of the biggest blessings in disguise. But a week before that guy had said, hey, let's go to this marketing conference. And this is 2013. And at that marketing conference, it wasn't even a conference, a workshop. It was 10 people. The guy taught this thing called Facebook ads. It's 2013. So talk about luck. You know what I mean? Like CPM's there. So cost per impressions for anybody who's listening is like, that's what you have to pay to advertise. And on Facebook, it was like $3. And so I was running ads for a gym as soon as I opened the gym. And so that allowed me to, I remember the first month I made the exact amount of money that my rent was, which was $4,972. And mind you, I had never made $4,972 of my, me making it. I went from a job to that. Yeah. And that was where actually the panic set in. I was like, what if this doesn't work? I was like, I'm just going on this. And I had $5,000 saved up. So I'd spent like 45 or whatever opening the gym. And I had 1 or 2 months of rent's worth of money. And then I was out. That was it. Yeah. And so I broke even on that. And then, the next month I signed up the same amount of people. So we did 10,000, then 15, then 20, then 25, 20, 30, all the way up to 35,000 a month at that gym. And by month 9, I, had trainers and I had a manager and it started working. And so month 15, I opened my second location. And then I opened up a new location every 6 months after that. I mean, I can get in the tactics around this, but the way that we were able to do it is I had a pretty cool model, which allowed us to get a ton of customers for a low cost and a high amount of cash up front. So we could liquidate our acquisition cost, and then we still had the back end. So I could get paid to get customers, which is why I could open every gym at full capacity on the first day. And so I didn't even have to front the money for the new gyms I would open. I would pre-sell them, use the cash from the pre-sale to buy all the equipment, paint the walls, get the sign, all that kind of stuff. And so I would open up in the black without ever having to front any money. And that's what allowed me to grow really quickly from like 23 to 26 in terms of my age. And so at that time I had 6 locations.